Hello, guys. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Davina,
And I'm Hobart.
and we live in the Philippines. We wanted to tell you guys about what we've been up to, how our transition is, and our main topic today is our cell phones and the VPN. So we had some people reach out, and we want to make sure we answer these questions as thoroughly as possible as we can.
Right. So, like the last live, I think I talked about the four things that's needed when you guys are planning to come here to Philippines. One is the Charles Schwab account, right? Make sure you establish that while you're in the United States. The reason for that was
It's the best account to have here in the Philippines, anywhere in the world actually, because Charles Schwab doesn't charge you any kind of transaction fees, and you usually get the best rates when you're doing conversions. And they also pay you back for any kind of fees you had, like ATM fees, and those really rack up. I know sometimes I get here. You can only do a maximum at some ATMs of 10,000 peso. That's just shy of a hundred and 60, 80 bucks, right? And so you can only do that in each transaction. So if you're doing it, two, three times in a row, it adds up to a lot of money trying to take the money out. So
right while we were doing construction, instead of going back and forth to the bank, right? Because we had to pay the guys every week. I had to purchase uh, lumber, I had to purchase steel, I had to purchase all kinds of equipment. What we ended up having to do was kind of fund our Charles Schwab account, and then we pulled like maybe 10, 15 thousand at a time. The maximum that you said you pulled was
yeah,
about 40,000, right? I
yeah,
mean, think about that. Pulling 40,000 from an ATM with no ATM fees from your bank or from the ATM, right? And we pulled from all over. We used what, China Bank, RCBC, BPI, not BDO though. BDO doesn't like it. So other than that, that's pretty good. The second thing that I talked about that you needed to have before coming here is the Apple Card. So if you are in the Apple ecosystem, you need to be on the Apple ecosystem. You need to have an Apple phone, right? Because it's on the Linux system, and it's a little bit, the Mac iOS is a little bit more secure than a regular um, PC computer, right? So why do you think why the Apple Card?
well, the Apple Card's very secure. And anybody who's in here, you guys, please hit that like button. Thank you for watching our channel. And if you just found us, we come on here pretty regularly and talk to you guys about what's going on with us in the Philippines, our move, and just daily life. And so with the Apple Card, it disguises, or it actually doesn't show what your number is, or your expiration, or that special code that's on the back or the front. And what we find is that wherever you're going, if your card has numbers on it in the Philippines, they are taking those numbers down. So they'll either write them in a notebook, or you'll see them put them into the computer system, like the local computer system. So we like the Apple Card because it doesn't allow for anyone to see what the numbers are. So they can't really get our information. And a lot of times, and we always refuse. We refuse to give them the numbers. They'll ask us, "What's the numbers?" And we're like, "I don't know, can't help you." And so when we have that issue, they'll have to like fudge the numbers, make up, numbers, and that's fine with us.
Yeah, and so the reason for that is because the terminal for processing the ATM is totally different from the database that they have on the store. The database that they have on the store, the purpose for that is for tax purposes, right? The other one is for transactions only. So what they have to do is put the PIN code in. Hey, is this your total? This is putting it in. Do you want peso or dollar? We usually go with peso. That's a little bit better. For the exchange rate, and then what they do is they have to take that total with the authorization code, then put it inside their own database, which is a separate computer. What I've noticed is that I've checked what they put in the database and what is in my phone, because the Apple Card, the information, the credit card number, the expiration date, the CVR, or the code on the back, it's not printed on the card. The only thing that's printed on the card is Goldman Sachs on the back, your first name in the front, and then it's a white platinum card with the Apple logo. That's pretty much it. That's it's. You can take a picture of it. You know,
Titanium.
yeah, it's titanium. Sorry, it's not. Yeah, it's titanium. I thought it was platinum. Okay, so it's titanium. I get corrected every time. Diamond, titanium, platinum, whatever, aluminum. So the point is, it's a lot better. For security purposes, Apple Card is the way to go. So I was looking at my Apple Card number on my phone, because you can see your Apple Card number on your phone. And then I was looking up when they swiped the card and what they were getting from the card reader. It's totally different. So Apple has made your Apple Card so secure that when they swipe it, it's totally different from the number that you have on your actual card to the transaction. The transaction is always the same, right? And so if your card is ever compromised, guess what? All you have to do is call Apple, right, and say, hey, this card is compromised. They automatically would be able to change the card number on your card without having to send you a new one. Like, because all that information can be changed online, right? So that's number two. So one, credit card. Number two, Apple Card for the security purposes. And on top of that, whenever we're paying something, before they can even print out the receipt, we already have the transaction on our phones. So if you're carrying your phone around, you know what I mean, like all this, you can already see the transaction. So that's the second thing. First, Charles Schwab for ATM, no ATM fees. Then Apple Card for security purposes, right? And then the third thing that I mentioned is your own cell phone in the United States. Bring it here for two-factor authentication. If you don't have your two-factor authentication for your email, right? If you have it at Google, Yahoo, or your banking, if it's not on two-factor authentication, your Facebook, if you don't have it on two-factor authentication, right? We have a first-hand experience right here with
so we stayed up till 1 a.m. the other day, and we got to the bottom of the hack. Okay, so Hober and I, we burnt that midnight oil, and we scoured our accounts, and we were able to find the missing piece. So I kept trying to change my password, and it would say, "Is this you in Australia?" And we're like, "No, that's not us in Australia." But it was happening simultaneously as I'm trying to like update everything. If I slow down and I read it, because I kept saying, "Yeah, it's me. Yeah, it's me." And I keep trying to put my password in, and it's saying like, "Hey, somebody's trying to use your password to get in," and all this stuff. And then I finally stopped and I read it, and I was like, "Oh crap! It's not even the right IP address. It's not even the right location. Like my VPN says USA, so why does it say Australia? And even if the VPN wasn't working, wouldn't it say Manila?" So we had to really like pay attention and read the fine print, and we were finally able to retake, or whatever it's called, reclaim my account.
On Facebook?
No, it was on It was on Google.
Okay.
My Google account.
Yeah, but I was talking about Facebook.
My Facebook account is still compromised. There was no way to fix it. I really don't know how to fix it. We're screwed there.
Yes. So have your own cell phone, two-factor authentication, right? So this is critical and very important, especially if you do online banking. If you're coming from the United States like us, we still have banks in the United States, and that's how we transfer funds from the US all the way to our Philippine bank account. Right? If you want to know how to start a Philippine bank account, we have one with Philippine National Bank.
I made a very detailed video.
Right? So go check that video out, and then if you guys have any questions regarding that matter, feel free to write on a comment on there and ask us questions. We are more than willing to answer your questions for you. But two-factor authentication is very important. Whether you have like Wells Fargo, right? Wells Fargo banking does not work in Philippines. So two-factor authentication, just make sure it's good to go. The purpose of two-factor authentication is to make sure that you have your own code, or you get a text message, or you get a phone call, you get an email, so that way anybody else in the world can't just go in there. They need to, you need to basically get like a Google authentication code generator, or they need to get a text message or a phone call or an email, so that way they can get into your account. Okay, that nobody can get into it just nilly-willy. All right, but that's how they got into Davina's Facebook account.
I know for a fact that one time I thought I was talking to somebody and I gave them my code. I know that. Like it sits with me. And so I know I did it to myself.
So if somebody ever calls you and they say, "Hey, what is the code that we got from you?"
No, like today I get things all the time, and they're all phishing scams. But like even today, it says, good day, Mr. and Mrs. and it's not even my last name, so whatever. In this connection with our objective to gradually shift to paperless billing, may we request you please text or call us at the official numbers, and they give me a bunch of numbers. The required updated contact information, and then they tell me they want my email address, my active mobile, and my billing address. This update information will help us to disseminate new housing loan programs offered by the fund. Thank you, and stay safe as always. Yeah, right. I don't need no housing fund, whatever thingy, but I mean, I'm sure whoever they're trying to target, would have maybe been interested in that. And so I keep getting these phishing things. I would never answer any of them, but I did make a mistake once.
Okay. All right. So, two-factor authentication code, right? So that is very important and key whenever you are doing any type of banking, doing bank transfer or whatever, or you have your applications on your phone. All right. Two-factor authentication. Make sure you have that. Last thing, the fourth thing that I talked about is having your cell phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one is critical, right? Because you're going to need a cell phone number for two-factor authentication. You're going to need a cell phone, right, to do all kinds of transaction. Wait, so I said, no, I'm kind of getting lost here. So two-factor authentication, and then it's supposed to be the cell phone. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. I have so much stuff on my mind right now. I'm thinking about the dogs. Okay, so cell phone, right? It is important for you to have a cell phone here in Philippines, so that way you can have access to these things here in Philippines, whether it's banking and things like that. For us, we got into T-Mobile, right? So if you are military, T-Mobile has this
Magenta
plan, right? So T-Mobile Magenta Plus plan or something like that, and they have all kinds of benefits that we're not even using.
No, we never even used any of the benefits.
Any of the benefits.
And I know like Netflix is free.
Mm-hmm.
They had some other benefits. We never tapped into any of them.
Right. So usually when you travel overseas, right, in order for you to get text message and so data texting while abroad, free, right? Unlimited text while you're overseas. So that means all of the text messages you receive from your bank, all this two-factor authentication text messages that you receive from your Gmail account, Yahoo account, from your bank, guess what? All of that is free through T-Mobile. Additionally,
yeah. So we mostly, when we first got here, we mostly only did texting.
Yes.
We did have to do a few phone calls to Navy Federal Credit Union. Those lasted long periods of time, and I think it bumped up our bill. How much did we end up having to pay extra on the bill that month?
$5. $5.
Really?
Mm-hmm. $5, $10.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that much. It's not that much. But it's for every time we call and I had to leave a message was like, what, 5 cents or 25 cents, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, though, it's inexpensive for peace of mind and security. You know what I mean? You need to have your cell phone. And the thing is, if you ever get locked out, or if you ever need to access your bank accounts and things like that, you're going to need a cell phone. That's the most secure way.
You do need your cell phone.
Yeah, you do need your cell phone. And it goes back to the Apple Card and the Apple ecosystem, right? If you're not in it, I encourage you to do so, because it is so secure, right? Nobody can get in your stuff unless they have your Apple ID card, and they have your Apple ID, right, which is usually something that you own, and they have access to your entire thing.
What I would say is you can use FaceTime here. You can use data. Like I turned off my cellular on my US. So cellular data, I turned it off, and the only data I like to use is the Wi-Fi. And of course, only use Wi-Fi that is yours. It's secure. Don't use Wi-Fi at the hotels or at the malls. It's guaranteed. I mean, at the hotel, that's where I got hacked. So, anyways, just make sure you guys are guarding your Wi-Fi situation. You know, like whatever Wi-Fi you're jumping onto. But yeah, I don't use cellular at all. And what we found is I do need cellular here. So we ended up getting me a Filipino phone. Hobart got a Filipino phone right off the bat. You know, right out, like right when we got here, he got a Filipino phone immediately. And I'm like, I don't need to talk to anybody. I don't even speak Filipino. I don't need a number. And, but I do like surfing the web. And so what I would find is that I would run out of my, gigs that I would get for international. I would run out of it pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So we ended up getting a phone so I can surf.
So I wish I can talk on behalf of all the other carriers in the United States, but the one we use is T-Mobile. It's with the Magenta Plus plan. It's very expensive. We have two cell phones, just because she needs to do two-factor authentication on her phone, and then I need to do two-factor authentication on my phone. We have separate bank accounts, not joint bank accounts. It's just a lot easier that way. Additional things that are with T-Mobile is that you get Apple TV included in your plan. You get Netflix included in your plan, right? So yeah, I can't express it enough, right? Like if you, let's say you bank with Bank of America, and you lose your card or whatever, or you want to lock it, you want to have an American cell phone, right, in order for you to do transactions. Because when you're calling from your own cell phone here in Philippines, it'll still register that that phone belongs in the United States. Okay.
Right. You want that US phone number
Mhm.
because you want the +1 number. Now I know people can have a US number by using Magic Jack, as an option. I know there's also like Google Voice as an option, but for us, we just chose to keep our US plan.
Yes. Something else too, if you have kids, right? Something that I worry about. And since we're in the Apple ecosystem, I've thought about it two ways, right? So how can I make sure that when my kids are at school, that they're okay? So guess what? They have Apple Watches. And for T-Mobile, right, it's $10 extra per wearable. And I know where my kids at all time. I mean, I also have the Apple AirTags, but I think it's just better for them to have the Apple Watch, so that way they can do the walkie-talkie, they can do the text message back and forth, and they can even call us. I don't care how much it's going to cost. It's for safety purposes, and it has a safety feature. Again, it's in the Apple ecosystem. I don't know how that would work with the Samsung watches and things like that. Apple Watches, they definitely work out here. But there are certain things that we're running into with the Apple Watches, is that sometimes it'll work depending on who has the satellite in the area, and sometimes it doesn't. So what we're planning to do now is we're looking into um, getting the wearables to like with phone numbers here in Philippines, so that way it'll just be easier for us to track them. It doesn't go in and out of coverage. It'll just be here in Philippines.
Yeah, so we're gonna get additional lines for our kids to be able to have their their watches work.
Right. So, there's give and takes. I do not want my kids to have cell phones, but I am okay with them to having an Apple Watch, so that way they can text us and they can call us. It's not something they can surf on the web, and they can go on Instagram and TikTok, or Facebook. You want to limit all those things for your kids. You just want I just want them to have it, so I can track know where they are. And if the Apple Watch ever gets stolen, guess what? I know where to find it because the Apple ecosystem has a Find My application, right? I don't know how that works with Android phones or things like that, but we are in the Apple ecosystem. Highly, highly, highly recommended. So just those are just the little perks that we have with T-Mobile, right? We haven't had any issues, and the thing is,
None.
we save so much money with T-Mobile, not just because we're in the military, but they have this thing called AutoPay. So if you have AutoPay, it's like you get another $5-10 off, and then the Netflix is on them. Apple TV is on them, so those things are free of charge for us. You know what I mean? We're using those systems here because they have Netflix here. The streaming services that they don't have here is Peacock, which I was hoping they would. They don't have, and they don't have Disney Plus. Disney Plus, Disney's not doing so well right now. But yeah, they don't have it here. Okay, moving on to the next thing. Actually,
VPN.
VPN, right? And what do we have?
So someone was asking, like, what is a VPN? How do you use it? So a VPN is basically it's a application that you can use on your computer, on your any kind of like system that hooks up to the internet. So it could be your end user stuff. So your computer, your laptop, your cell phones, your iPads. These things you want to have a VPN because you can choose where you connect to the server. Okay. And this is important because you want to get that IP address that is located in the United States. But you can get an IP address that's located anywhere in the world. So the VPN is very versatile. Let's say there's something that I want access to I know when I was stationed in other countries and we couldn't get some of the shows because they're not allowed in the countries that we're stationed in. So we could just turn on the VPN. Now we have a US IP, and we can go and see all those extra shows that weren't authorized to us when we were stationed in those countries.
I'll give you an example, right? One time, my kids had a Harry Potter. They were just going nuts for Harry Potter. They were just all into it because my son's friend was like reading the books, and they were all into it. They were talking about it all the time, and so the kids, it was a topic. They're like, "Hey, we want to watch Harry Potter," but Harry Potter was not showing in Netflix, Peacock, or Disney Plus during that time. So guess what? The VPN, I got it hooked up. I changed the location on the VPN to, I think, somewhere in Europe or Australia, and they had it. They were showing Harry Potter, and we saw Harry Potter on our streaming service, and for free. We didn't have to wait until the licensing came to the United States. We just changed the VPN, and that is one of the perks, right? In addition to the security.
Right. And so the VPN is really important because our banks won't open up with IP addresses that are outside the US. So for instance, we have tried to get onto, our different banks. And if the VPN's off, it'll give us an error sign. And so we know, like, okay, even some of the applications, whether we're trying to look at something or search something, that we'll get these errors. So once you turn the VPN on, then it'll work. But I'll tell you that the VPN will slow down your search. So for instance, because it has to go through that, it has to be routed through that server. And so something that might take like a second to do, without that barrier, without that wall, without that workaround, it takes just a little bit longer. It might be a little noticeable, but then it might not, depending on your internet speeds. So right now at home, our internet speeds are over 600 megabytes per second. We do have the fastest internet you could possibly get in the Philippines. And with those speeds, we don't see any slowdown. But when we stay at a hotel and we're using our VPN, and it's 20 megabytes per second. It literally, you can feel time moving because it's so slow. So there's that. And then, so then you're like, okay, do I really want to search this up? Am I willing to wait to see like what the answer is? Or do I want to risk it all and turn off the VPN and yeah, lose my accounts and stuff? So I've definitely learned my lesson. I need to stay on VPN stuff.
Right. So, like she said, it does slow it down when you're on VPN, but it's just the security. We have Filipino cell phones, and I just want to go back real quick. We do have T-Mobile, and which we're paying for like $100 a month, right? $100 a month for peace of mind, two-factor authentication, able to use the VPN on that phone, so that way we can transact banking services online.
And we
way
did
better.
go down to the minimum on everything there, because remember, we used to have like a big plan that could, you know,
On
50 megabytes or gigs, 50 gigs of whatever, right?
on the T-Mobile.
On T-Mobile.
Yeah.
We used to, but once we got here, we realized we no longer needed that level of data and all that stuff.
It comes with 40 gigabytes.
Yeah, so
already.
we basically went as low level as possible, limited everything, and just kind of like, we have our phones, they work, they're good, but we're not using them as our primary.
Yeah, so it's 40 gigabytes per phone, right? When you use your 40 gigabytes, then it slows down. But you know what? Out here, we don't even use that.
Right.
And so, yeah.
It's more of a backup for us.
It is. So we have our T-Mobile phone, and we also have our PLDT phone lines, right? The Filipino phone. We did that because it's more secure, and again, it all go back to peace of mind. Our US phone, we don't do any of the stuff with it, nothing with it. It's only banking and secure emails and all those things. We do not try to do Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or anything like that. It's the Filipino one that we have all those things on. So if the Filipino one ever does get hacked into, then it's totally separate and doesn't have our banking account.
Right.
And the thing is, you know, we want to leave that cell phone in a secure area, right? Either in a car, in our house, and we don't want to take it with us. So if our phone ever gets stolen, we're again, peace of mind, and our stuff is secure at the house.
Yeah, and we have been hearing stories of people getting their bags slashed at the market, cell phones getting stolen. We hear stories about people jumping the fence to steal people's, items that are out, that are unsecured. So like, it's not, don't want to scare people. Like, definitely don't want to like fear monger you, but also don't be naive, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. So just to recap, right? And I think I did these things in order when I mentioned them at the last live. All right. So the most important thing that you can possibly do, right, for security purposes is the cell phone, right? The cell phone allows you to have two-factor authentication. Once you have the cell phone, right, you get a Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab does not have an actual bank like that you can go to and withdraw money. All that stuff is online. Okay. But they will send you your card and all that stuff in the United States when you apply for it. So make sure you get the card before you they get the Charles Schwab card in the US before you come here. But that banking needs to be on your phone.
So just so you guys know, like, Charles Schwab does have locations that you can walk into, but they don't do any cash over the counter at all. They will take a check, but they prefer that you do 100% of everything online.
Correct. And so we like that, right? Because here in Philippines, we are here in Philippines. Do we want like our bank statements going to an address that we don't get to see on a daily basis? No, we don't want that at all. So we've tried to do paperless on as much of our banking and as much of our stuff as possible. But there's still here a few things here and there that we're not allowed to kind of remove completely.
Like taxes. They're gonna send them somewhere.
Yeah, and so make sure that we don't
have a family or friends. We have family. And we have a lot of families. So if, one family member wasn't feeling like they wanted to help us out, we could definitely find family to help us. But we're so lucky in the fact that we have family that we can just call and be like, hey, can we talk about the mail? Can we do this? Can we do that? And we're just blessed in that way.
Yeah, and it's even helped us out because one of the our last paychecks were sent home. And so we were already gone. We were already here in Philippines, and our job was still sending our last paycheck to us because we had terminal leave and stuff like that. So number one, get a cell phone. Make sure that cell phone is secure, right? Make sure that I would highly recommend, if you're in the Android kit, great, good for you, right? But I would recommend go on Apple, because Apple is a little bit more secure, right? And then you can do banking on that cell phone. Number two is Charles Schwab. Get Charles Schwab connected to your phone, all right? And so that way you can transact stuff with your phone. Number three, apply for an Apple credit card. So that way it's no fees, right? The Charles Schwab has no fees as well. But the thing is, like, you automatically know when things are being charged on your credit card through your phone because it has a statement. And then number four is to basically get a VPN. We have Express VPN. And so
the company's name is Express VPN. Okay.
Express VPN is great. It hasn't been an issue.
It's very inexpensive. I've had it for years. You can put it on a bunch of different formats. He's got it on his phone, I got mine, it's on our laptop, it's on our, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's on on all our phones. So we have 4 phones, right? And it's
supposed to be like 4 devices, but I think we take turns like putting it on a different device because we don't always use the same device all the time.
Yeah. So it's good to go. So those are the things that you would want. And whenever you travel anywhere else in the world, you want to have security. And that's the main thing, is that you protect your privacy. You protect from phishing, from scammers, you protect it from people. Even now in our Philippine phone, we don't really give out that number.
Never.
But because of the surfing that we do on the internet, or whatever it is, we give it to a business here in Philippines. Like, for example, we go to Landers, right? Or SNR.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we get all kinds of scam phone calls and things like that, because now they know, like, okay, this is a phone that someone has, or the number that we attained was probably in a database somewhere.
Yeah.
And that somebody else was sending information to.
Well, here's the thing, right? I mean, I used an ATM at the mall, and right after I used it, the very next day, I had a phishing on my American US. So I know that the number that's associated with my card is the US. There's no way that I would have gotten some kind of like thing from the bank. I don't know. It's very suspicious. That we've gotten so many emails too. Where you'll be like, hey, what is this email here? And I'll be like, oh no, that email, that's not real. Hi, Willie Bobo. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Willie Bobo.
Yes.
It's a big 61. 61.
Hi, Willie Bobo. Thanks for hitting the like button, guys.
I wish, I hope I can attain that age. You know what I mean? Where I'm in my 60s.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
all your kids love you. We love you. You're an amazing dad. And shout outs to my pops, Willie Bobo.
Yeah, I would say he definitely is a good father. When I met your father, I've always respected him. I've always called him like, hey, Mister, and then say his last name. Well, I had to go through the boys, right? So I mean, like,
the boys
you're one
easy.
older brother, you had one little brother, and then there's the twins, right? So the twins and I were about like 1 year. So they were senior in high school. I was a junior.
And they definitely did not make it easy for Hobart.
It's all right, though. I mean, it was great. I liked it. I think that I would definitely want my son to and I would give my, whoever's going to come around to date my daughter, like that much time, like how difficult time. Difficult time. So it's all right. It's a part of the culture. But you know what, though? One thing I like about your father is that he likes coaching. He likes mentoring. I mean, he was a coach ever since what?
Oh yeah, he's been coaching hundreds of kids
Yeah.
in football.
Yeah, so he's definitely made a difference out there in the community, just
Yeah.
mentoring kids that are playing football,
Mhm.
and giving them some discipline.
Yeah,
So-
definitely. He says he's 62.
Oh,
Happy
62.
birthday, 62.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost 40. I'm not too far. I'm actually younger than Hobart right now. I'm always, for 3 months, I'm younger than Hobart. And it feels really nice to be way younger than you, you know. Just by 3 months.
I guess. It's all right, though. Like I said, you know,
I cannot turn 40.
I am 22 years away from Willie Bobo's age. I hope that I can make it to that age, right?
Yeah.
And just for anybody who's watching out there, this is free information right here. I just want to let you guys know that retire early, okay?
Yes.
Retire early. And the reason why, don't wait for your pension. Don't wait for the government to start giving you kickbacks. Start making money when you're at a younger age so that way you can retire early. Because the retirement age was generated based on life expectancy.
Right, they're hoping you die soon.
So if you think
so
about
that
this,
you can stop getting your pension.
Yeah.
You know?
So if you think about this, right? So imagine your high school, your graduating class in high school, right? Our graduating class, do you know how many?
No, I don't.
I think there was 300 something in our graduating class, maybe 400, I can't remember. But when we went to our 20-year high school reunion, right? Was it 20 years?
Yeah, it's 20 year. 20 year.
11 people has passed away already.
Yeah.
So
that we knew of.
That we knew of, or that people knew of, right? And so think about that. Those are people that have worked already, like 10, 15, 20 years of their life, and then
time to go.
They didn't make it to the retirement age, senior age, to start pulling their pensions or whatever it is.
Right.
Now, granted, your kids can get the pension, but how likely is that? Because your kids are only able to get the pension if they are under 18 years old, right? Once they're 21 and start making their own money, that pension goes away.
I don't know about all that stuff, but yeah, I do know that, you should retire as soon as possible. Definitely me and Hobart, we made a lot of good decisions in our youth, in those last 20 years, we've made a lot of good decisions. And so they've just really panned out well for us. Willie Bobo wants to know, do they air the football, the Super Bowl, where we live?
I'm sure with the VPN, we can definitely get it. But there's some TVs that they do have TV here.
No, here they're interested in boxing. Manny Pacquiao, boxing.
Boxing. That's what they're interested in.
Yeah.
I wish I could answer that for you, Willie Bobo, but we don't have TV at the house.
No. We actually haven't had TV for at least 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped having TV a long time ago. We only have Netflix. And we used to have some other streaming, but we don't actually watch TV that much. We watch animation.
Yeah.
Japanimation.
But hey, Willie Bobo, it's okay. There's no TV out here when you come visit. I know someone who can give you a play-by-play, right, on football or whatever sports.
Oh yes, Rico knows.
Rico knows.
So you can watch
him
on YouTube,
and he can give you all the information that you want. So if you guys want to know any sports at all, look up Rico Knows. He's got his own YouTube channel.
Yeah, right? And I mean his channel's amazing. It's doing great. It's definitely like more exciting and fun than us talking about Philippines.
Yeah, it's all boring over here. So if you're into all that stuff, that's great. But there's another one too that you can go to, Morant's Rants, right, which is all about GameStop, AMC.
Yeah, right? I think he talks about stocks. I think we need to learn more about stock options. I think we need to learn about that because I think that's probably some info we could learn.
Yeah. I'm starting to dabble in that a little bit, but it's too complicated reading about graphs and candlesticks and things like that.
I don't know anything.
Yeah,
I don't know anything.
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated and kind of like
not even
slowly getting into it. In fact, I'm actually looking for an application out there that would be like that I can practice paper money or whatever, online fake money. So that way, if I do go live, I can my $50 can go a long way.
Oh God.
So, all right.
Well, it was good talking with everybody in the chat. Shout outs to Willie Bobo. Hit the like button, guys. Thank you for stopping and listening to us talk about the Philippines.
Yeah, that was it. That was our topic. So, but if you guys have any questions at all regarding any of these items, how we secured them, is it difficult? Is it easy? Write it on the chat, and when we have time, we will respond to you like we did today. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, carpe diem.
Seize the day.